Defense Grid is back in the Epic Storm, and it makes perfect sense in our Entomb plus Echo of Eons and Runehorn Hellkite deck. Let's go check it out. Defense Grid is back in the Epic Storm, and I'm thrilled to be playing this list for you today because I've been having so much success with this Entomb build. So over the course of the last few weeks, I've been playing Entomb, and if you haven't caught my video from last week, you can find it in the card above, where Entomb has just really been incredible. And it's been so good that over 134 matches, I am averaging just over 67% match win percentage. With the list in front of you today, I've played 50 matches, and I'm at over 68%. So slightly better than the average. And well, what makes this list so successful? It's really just Entomb, and I covered it in that last video, but this card allows you to be so much faster, and I'll zoom in here. So if you're unfamiliar, Entomb is a 1-mana instant where you can search your library for any card, not just a creature, and put it to the graveyard, and then you'll find Echo of Eons or the Runehorn Hellkite, which can't be countered. So I'm not going to go over everything I said in that last video, but just a quick recap here. So over the course of the last week, I've been testing various lists, and so have other community members. One of those community members is Velgrim, who started a list that had defense grids in the sideboard. And I didn't really think it made sense as a sideboard card, but I do think it makes sense as a main deck card. So we ended up moving the Thoughtseizes to the sideboard, and then now we have defense grids in the main deck. Well, why does that matter? Well, in your deck with Entomb for Echo of Eons and the Runehorn Hellkite, you're drawing your blue opponents into new hands of 7 cards that could contain Force of Will, Force of Negation, Surgical Extraction, things like that. When you have Defense Grid in play, your opponents can't use those cards. So Defense Grid is just better against all of the blue decks. So that makes sense because it synergizes with your deck more. On top of that, it's an artifact for Mox Opal. So the synergy just goes on, and you can even bargain away a Defense Grid using Beseech Dimir. So there's a lot of things to like in this deck with Defense Grid, which is why we're playing it here today. But that's not all the changes. We're also playing a Bayou in the main deck over Underground Mortuary. I found that this list is so fast that you don't want 2 tap lands anymore. You really want your lands to come into play untapped. So that is why I'm playing this Bayou here today. And speaking of being so fast, okay, well, isn't it a concern that we have Defense Grid instead of Thoughtseize versus non-blue? Yeah, sort of, but when you're the Entomb Gamble deck, honestly, your deck is so good against non-blue, a lot of time you just get to steamroll them with Echo of Aeons in game 1, and it doesn't really matter. Will it matter sometimes? Sure, but a majority of the times you just get to do your thing with Entomb and Gamble. So, for example, over the course of the last couple weeks, I mentioned that I played 134 matches. 9 of them are against lands. Okay. So it's a decent portion of the metagame. I'm 9-0 against lands. And you'd think that'd be a matchup where I miss Thoughtseize. I don't, just because the Gamble plus Entomb package is so powerful. So that is the idea here. And I believe those are all of the changes in the main deck. If we look at the sideboard, Chain of Vapor, Void Snare, Echo of Aeons, Thoughtseize. What did the Thoughtseize replace? Well, it replaced Fairy Macabre. Okay, well, that's pretty interesting. Well, I found that when I didn't sideboard against Dimir Reanimator, I actually did better. Rather than having a Fairy Macabre in my hand that doesn't synergize with the rest of my deck, I just decided to do my thing better. And I found my win rate going up. In fact, I've played, I believe it's 16 matches against Dimir Reanimator total since testing Entomb, and I am now 8-8. But the thing is, I was testing Leyline of the Void and Fairy Macabre, and I was still losing. And then ever since I've switched to not playing anything, my win rate's gone up. So I think that with this current build, it's above 500, but I don't have, or well, I actually don't know the data off the top of my head. I mean, I'm sure I could look it up, but I believe that this is the way forward. I'm at least 50-50 against the best deck in the format that probably needs a ban. So that's a good sign. I like the Thoughtseizes in the sideboard. I never loved the Fairy Macabres anyway. And then we have obviously the Tendrils of Agony, Beseech Dimir, Peer into the Abyss, Galvanic Relay. No Empty the Warrens. Why is that? Because today we are playing Reverent Silence, and if you're unfamiliar with this 4-mana green sorcery, you can give your opponent 6 life if you control a forest, and then you destroy all enchantments. Why would we want to play Reverent Silence? Well, it destroys Deafening Silence off of a Burning Wish, we like that, but it also destroys Leyline of the Void in your deck that's really good at putting Echo of Aeons to the graveyard. So instead of playing Empty the Warrens, we're playing Reverent Silence. And it's been really good, I have to say. There's a screenshot of Alex McKinley destroying a Leyline of the Void plus double Deafening Silence. That's pretty cool in the Storm Discord. I've personally destroyed a couple copies of Leyline of the Void. It hasn't been quite as good for me, but I've enjoyed the card so far. Similarly, Pulverizes for Chalice of the Void and things like that. Cut to Ribbons. This is a card that we've played in the past. So the first part of Cut to Ribbons is Cut, which deals 4 to a creature, so it can kill Archon of Emeria or Clarion Conqueror or Collector Oof, anything like that. But the back half is Ribbons. So you can only cast Ribbons from your graveyard, and then X black black, each opponent loses X life. Okay, so why would we want to play this? It beats Veil of Summer, it beats the One Ring. In fact, we've played it in the past, but the problem with the card is that it doesn't play well with Gaia's Will. Because if you use Lion's Eye Diamond to discard Cut to Ribbons, Gaia's Will becomes a little bit awkward, because it would exile the Cut to Ribbons. But in this new build that echoes so frequently, you're not using Gaia's Will as often. So that means that you get a little bit of extra utility with Cut to Ribbons over Approach of the Second Sun. So I've been playing it. I've killed a Collector Oof and then won the match because I had Cut to Ribbons in my deck instead of Approach of the Second Sun. So I think it's worth continuing to test. I mean, I might go back to Approach of the Second Sun at some point, but for now, I'm liking Cut to Ribbons. And then 2 copies of Beseju Who Endures. I am not playing the Shenanigans anymore. I was playing it, but honestly, the card just wasn't good enough, if I'm being completely honest with you. So I'd rather just play the Besejus and have those against the tempo decks of the format. I get to board up to 13 lands, and they're backdoor answers to things like No Rod or whatever. So I like the Beseju Who Endures. That's the deck tech. A little long-winded today, but I wanted you to have all the information on what the deck's been going through and why I'm playing what. So if you enjoyed it, like, comment, subscribe, and hopefully I give it a good showing here in the video. I will see you in the first round. Don't go anywhere. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members-only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, cyborg guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Welcome to match number 1. We're on the draw. I'm going to keep. Our opponent's only Goldfish result is with Cephalid Breakfast. And here we have an interesting hand. They have a mulligan to 5. We have Runehorn Hellkite. So if our opponent goes for a turn 2 win, we can go Dark Ritual, discard our hand to Lion's Eye Diamond, and then force them to deck themselves with the Runehorn Hellkite. And it doesn't look like that's going to be what they do here. They play a Misty Rainforest and pass. So I could spin right now. They have 4 cards in their hand. We'll play out the Chromox. My fear is if I... Well, it looks like they're F6, so I might just Echo instead. Yeah, we'll Echo. I think I would have used the Runehorn Hellkite, but I could have just passed with... or I could have just used the Runehorn Hellkite and passed, but if they Prismatic Ending my Diamond, I'd feel a little foolish. And here I think we'll play the Defense Grid. That resolved, and now we can play Opal. I am just short of casting the Song of Creation, so I'll play the Dark Ritual, play the Diamond, and I think we're going to spin again here. So we'll gamble. Storm is 10, and the opponent just concedes. Okay, I'll take it. That's a turn 1 win. Cephalid Breakfast. Let's change this. I prefer Card View. We'll bring in 2 copies of Thoughtseize, and then I like shaving 1 of each Mox here. They're a blue deck. I understand that speed is important, but, you know, not losing to Force of Will is pretty good too. Yeah, this seems fine. I'd like a red source for this gamble, but I do think it's a keep. They play Basic Island. Okay, 6 cards in their hand. Dark Ritual. We'll play the Underground Sea and pass. Really need a red land or another artifact to turn on the Mox Opal. And step they Brainstorm. And now Meticulous Archive, okay. Gets rid of Prismatic Ending. Glad I didn't play out my Lion's Eye Diamond. From Mox. So that's probably good enough for me to try to win here. So we'll play the Chromox, and I think we'll imprint the Song of Creation. Play Lion's Eye Diamond. Play the Mox Opal. Let's try a Dark Ritual. And I think I'll use the Opal here and leave the 3-color Chromox untapped, because if I spin, I want more open colors. This will resolve. I'll grab Thoughtseize. We'll just play it. The Force of Negation, Exiling Memory's Journey. I will gamble, I think. And I wonder if I'm supposed to just grab Dragon here and then buy time. They have 4 cards in their hand. We'll grab the Hellkite. Okay, so now we'll pass the turn. So I need them to not kill me here, because obviously that would be bad. But then we would have the Dragon open. End step, they Brainstorm. Caracas. I don't know if I've ever seen a Caracas in Cephalid Breakfast. Not that you can't play it. Ooh, and I'm getting punished here. Okay, so I want to keep the Hellkite hidden. I'm not going to discard my hand. And now they play a Tamiyo Inquisitive Student with 2 cards remaining. And now they're going to Brainstorm. We saw the Memories Journey, so we do know that this is Cephalid Breakfast. So now the Tamiyo flips. And they plus the Tamiyo. They have 2 cards remaining. We drew Lotus Petal. I can try to flashback Echo here, which might be the move, because they can get back Force of Will next, or Force of Negation next turn. And their last cards in hand were Force of Negation, Narcomoeba, so we will pass. And now they're going to get back Force of Negation with the Tamiyo. They have Force of Negation, 1 unknown. I mean, let's play the Thoughtseize. Cephalid Illusionist, Force of Negation. I think I just need to buy time, so we'll take the Illusionist. They plus the Tamiyo. Verdant Catacombs, okay. So Tamiyo's at 3 counters. It's going to go up to 5 soon. I really need to draw a Lion's Eye Diamond. We'll fetch. Surveil with the Raucous Theater. Don't need a Guy's Will. That can go to the graveyard. Lotus Petal. So that doesn't actually help me here. I mean, I could cast the Dragon, but that doesn't do anything. The second Prismatic Ending was very good. So maybe I wasn't supposed to, like, if they were willing to surveil away one, maybe I wasn't supposed to play into the other, and maybe I should have just spun. But if I spun, they ended up having a Force of Negation. Another Opal. We have to pass. I'm running out of time. Alright, Tamiyo ultimated. We're probably just dead here. They played Nomad Zen Core. I mean, they're thinking about it. I'm not sure why. They could just slam an Illusionist here unless they think that I have Fairy Macabre. Alright, so our opponent disconnected, rejoined, and then immediately conceded. I don't know what exactly happened. It's not how I want to win a match, but I guess I'll take it, especially against a bad matchup like Cephalid Breakfast. So we're starting this Legacy League off 1-0. I'll see you in the second round. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. Round number 2 on the draw, we're facing someone who I've played against in the past on a Dimir, either Reanimator or Tempo, so I like the hand that we have. The game plan would be turn 1 Defense Grid into Gamble Echo of Eons. They have a Polluted Delta, they fetch, Underground Sea, Netherglyph. So they're on Dimir Tempo today. 4 cards in their hand, another Chrome Mox. I'll play the Chrome Mox, and I think I'm willing to imprint this Dark Ritual. I want to play around Days here. And then we'll play out the Mox Opal. Play the Chrome Mox. We're not going to imprint. And then we'll play Defense Grid. Hopefully this resolves. And it gets Force of Will to Exiling Days, so we will pass the turn. They have 2 cards left in their hand. They attack with a Netherglyph, we'll take it. Ouch. Another Netherglyph. And they pass. So 2 cards still in their hand. We'll fetch, grab Raucous Theater, and Surveil. Don't need another land. That can go to the graveyard. Draw for turn, and Tomb. So I guess I can play Entomb here, and then I could take the 50-50 on Gamble for Diamond, and if I fail, um, I can just pass the turn, and then Flashback Echo next turn, playing through Days. But if I win the flip, I can Echo right now. So 50-50 on Gamble. We'll select Lions at Diamond. We lose the flip. So we'll play Bloodstained Mire and pass. They find land number 2, so they could have an Orcish Bowmasters now. They swing 2 cards in hand. Yeah, this screams Orcish Bowmasters to me. We'll draw for turn. Another Gamble. We will fetch, grab Underground Sea, and Flashback Echo. Storm 1. Ew, no Bowmasters. Okay. Play the Bayou. Play Lotus Petal. Trying to think of what I can do here. Like, let's say they don't have Force. What's the best course of action for me to take? Because, like, right now I would lose the Double Days, which would feel bad. So, like, I could play out an Opal, but then I have one less trigger next turn for Song of Creation. And I will need additional stuff next, or if for some reason the Beseech resolves, I would need additional graveyard stuff. So I think that this is fine. We'll play the Dark Ritual. And now we'll try Beseech Dimir, sacrificing the empty Chrome Mox. Firm is 5. That resolves. And I think we just select Gaia's Will. I'm not even going to sacrifice the Lotus Petal, because if the Gaia's Will gets forced, I don't want to lose this mana. And it resolves. So now we'll tap for a black. We'll play the Opal. Keep the new one. Dark Ritual. Play the empty Chrome Mox again. No imprint. So now my thing is, I would lose the Double Days again, so I think I'm supposed to play out the other Opal. Like, there's just no reason to expose yourself to Double Days, so I will Beseech the Mirror. Okay, and now they're going to concede. They saw the other Opal, so maybe they actually had Double Days. We'll bring in 2 copies of Beseiju, and then board out 1 of each Mox. This is the Plan versus Tempo decks. This is so that you have more permanent mana sources. You can cast your Veil of Summers or Defense Grid by having multiple lands. But it also gives you that backdoor answer to Null Rod or Grafdigger's Cage or whatever. Game number 2, we're on the draw. This hand is incredible if I can draw another artifact. It's a big if. We're on the draw versus the Daze deck with Thoughtseize. I want to keep this. I think you're supposed to mulligan, unfortunately. We will keep this. Get rid of the Entomb. No, get rid of the Echo. Alright. Turn 1 Scalding Tarn. And they do have the turn 1 Thoughtseize, so keeping that 7 wouldn't have worked out well for me. I mentioned in the deck tech about how I've played this list in 134 matches, and out of those 134, I faced lands 9 times, and I'm 9-0. Well, I faced Dimir Tempo 7 times, and I'm 6-1. So I like this list quite a bit. It's just sometimes the deck fails, which is the downside. It's just you're playing a deck that's all wheels, and sometimes your wheels are, 5 lands. I had one the other day that was literally 5 lands Dragon Echo, and I had like 4 mana floating, so I was very likely to win, but unfortunately I did not. They Undercity Sewers and keep the card on top. We will fetch, grab the Raucous Theater. I don't think I need another land. That can go to the graveyard. I would like an imprintable for this Chrome Mox. Bummer. We'll play the Badlands. And they know about the Bloodstained Mire, but I need to protect the Bloodstained Mire from Wasteland. Because this is my blue mana source. So we'll imprint the Dark Ritual. Play Defense Grid. Trying to play around Daze here. If you're wondering why I'm not just tapping 2 lands to play Defense Grid. I do have that question sometimes in my videos. It's like, well, why would you do that? It's like, well, Legacy is the Daze format, and you're forced to respect it. It resolves. Alright, I think we'll just put Echo into the graveyard. If they have a Nile Spellbomb, it's going to hurt, but this line protects me from a Thoughtseize that our opponent could have drawn into, and I feel like that's way more likely than a Nile Spellbomb. So now they're playing Ponder. They shuffled. They play Polluted Delta. So they tapped under Defense Grid, so I should be able to play Echo on my turn. And they have a Bowmasters. Okay. So I'm at 18, but we get a real chance to win this game. Because I can resolve 2 wheels. Ooh, Diamond is the draw. Let's go. Let's go. We'll add 3 blue. And we'll leave 1 blue floating. Let's Flashback Echo. Storm is 2. I'm going to take a bunch of damage here off the Bowmasters. Does this win? We have 1 floating. This gives me Beseech the Mirror. So I'll take 7. The question is Beseech the Mirror lethal? They're at 16. I could also try to Tutor Chain. Alright, just trying to think this through. So I could go Lotus Petal Opal. I've played my land. I could replay the 3 artifacts, but I'd be 1 mana short on the way back. So I will gamble here for Lion's Eye Diamond. And if I discard the Burning Wish or the Diamond, I can gamble again. So we'll select Lion's Eye Diamond. We got rid of Lotus Petal, that's fine. So now the only thing I would lose to here is like a Fairy Macabre. And we'll tap for a red, tap for a black, hold control, we'll play the Burning Wish, use the blue mana, add 3 black. So Storm is 6. Actually, I can just Tutor Chain here. I don't even need to play Guy's Will. So I'll sacrifice the Mox Opal. Storm is 7. We'll grab another copy of Beseech the Mirror. And our opponent concedes the match. Alright, we are now 2-0. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $15.99. This token combo pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens featuring classic Storm and Mana tokens with new inclusions such as our modern Ruby Storm package, but that's not all. Our token pack covers a variety of formats from Pauper to CDH with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. For round number 3, we're on the draw versus Don't Force Me, Bro, which I'm not going to force them. And last week they had a result in the challenge with Black Reanimator, not Dimir, just Mono Black. And we'll see what they're playing today. This hand gives me the ability, well, I doubt that this is Dimir Reanimator, or I'm sorry, Mono Black Reanimator. But this hand gives me the ability to Echo on turn 1, which is something I like. Verdant Catacombs for a Bayou. And Thoughtseize. So they could take my Chrome Mox here, and then I can't Echo on turn 1. I could Echo on turn 2, assuming my gamble wins, but yeah, so it looks like we're probably passing. And they do take the Chrome Mox. We draw the Runehorn Hellkite, not really what we wanted. Another Opal that can go to the graveyard. Pass the turn. Once Upon a Time Thoughtseize. So this is probably like Cradle control, if I had to take a wild guess. Wasteland. Ah, brutal. This is what I was talking about in the deck tech about tap lands. And now we're stuck doing nothing. Devastating. They play a Dryad Arbor. I guess. So I will play the gamble. We'll grab a Lion's Eye Diamond. The Red Entomb right to the graveyard. My odds were very good on that one with 7 cards in hand. And now our opponent has 3 lands. They can play Green Sun Zenith into Collector Roof, and this game is going to be over. Yep. Losing the die roll was not good for us. Okay. So I'm going to concede. You could try to play this out because you have like a Burning Wish in hand. So there's some world out there in which you hit your lands. You can Burning Wish for the Void Snare and Echo. I think that's not practical in the spot that we were in given our hand. So instead, I would just rather move to the next one and save my time here on this planet. Alright, so we want Thoughtseizes and bounce spells. What we don't need is Defense Grid, and then you can leave in a couple copies of Veil of Summer. Alright, game 2 on the play. Sure, this is a turn 1 Echo. We like those. They kept 7. We'll play Bloodstained Mire and Fetch. Grab Badlands. We'll play out the Lotus Petal. The Lion's Eye Diamond. And let's Entomb. And you might be wondering, why would you sequence like this? So there's a few reasons. One, if you play Entomb last, things like Fairy Macabre, Endurance, whatever, don't really bother you. And you get to ignore Force of Vigor, because I can just add 3 blue, and then I'll add a black. And now Force of Vigor can resolve, because I don't care. And now Entomb resolves, and our opponent can't have a Fairy Macabre or Endurance or whatever to punish you. So we always get to Echo of Eons here no matter what. And we'll leave a black mana floating. Storm is 5. So we started this game with a land in play, a black floating, and 5 Storm. That's not nothing. And it looks like we've opened up a hand here that doesn't quite do it, but we do get to Thoughtseize them, and if we draw an artifact, we're pretty close for next turn. Alright, so I think we're supposed to take the Outland Liberator, because right now I'm looking at Song of Creation. Yeah, we'll take the Outland Liberator. We're probably going to get our land destroyed by Wasteland. And they do play the Wasteland. We drew another Opal. Not what I wanted. We'll pass the turn, and hopefully we surveil into another Lotus Petal or a Chrome Mox or something. They play the basic forest. We'll fetch. Grab that Raucous Theater. Surveil. Don't need Chain of Vapor. That can go to the graveyard. Entomb. Not very good draws. We'll pass. Verdant Catacombs is their land, and they're not playing the Scythecat Cub, which could mean they drew an Orcish Bowmasters or something else. So they're fetching in response for a Bayou. Disruptor Flute, sure. So they're probably going to name Echo here. And next turn they have Green Sun Zenith for the Collector Oof, so I really need to draw something now. Alright, they Entomb. Well, Entomb resolves. Still supposed to be Echo, I think. Draw. There we go. I believe that this is just a clean Guys will win now. I mean, I suppose I could Song still. So it's like Endurance versus Force of Vigor is their draws. They have one unknown. I guess I can't Song plus Trigger. So that's the difference maker here. We'll play the Diamond. And they had the Vigor. So I get... No, I can't spin here. I'm short. Wow. The one of being Force of Vigor was not good for me. Yeah, I'm 1 mana short. I guess I could bounce the Flute. Okay. We'll play Opal. Bounce the Disruptor Flute. And now we'll spin. That is not good. Oh, my echoes have not been great. Play Verdant Catacombs and Thoughtseize. We'll take the Bowmasters. Pass. They play Wasteland. Ignoble Hierarch. Disruptor Flute, 3 lands and 1 unknown. Song of Creation. Okay, so I'm still 2 mana away from just playing that. They play a Windswept Heath, and now they're fetching. So like Lotus Petal or Chrome Mox would be one of my better draws on my turn. They drew Green Sun. Alright, that hurts. Yep. I don't think we're getting this one, but we're going to try. Suppose we'll play Thoughtseize. Take the other Bowmasters. Pass. They play the Windswept Heath, and now they attack for 3. I go to 8. I'm running out of time. And now they're going to play the Disruptor Flute. They have Windswept Heath and 1 unknown in their hand. And they name Echo of Eons. I guess I could draw Lion's Eye Diamond and then Runehorn Hellkite. That's a potential out here. No, I can't because there's a Collector Roof in play. Ignore me. So I need the land here. Things are not looking good. So I guess what I could do is if I draw the land, I could mini Tendrils to buy time and then play Song of Creation. Alright, I think we're dead. They took the Hellkite. That's weird. Alright, maybe we're not dead. They swing for 2 instead of 3. Give me that time. Dark Ritual. So this buys me a little bit of time here because I can play Tendrils for 6 and pass. We'll grab Taiga. I'm sorry, Tendrils for 8 and pass. Alright. Just need to draw the 4th land. They play a Cub and then the Windswept Heath. So we no longer know any of the cards in their hand. And now they swing for 4. I'm going to 9. And then the trigger here, so it's going to be 5. So am I dead next turn? That's lethal. I'm dead on board. I don't think I have any... I guess I could draw a chain. And I didn't. Okay, so we got crushed here by Cradle Control, but I think the reality is... Well, okay, we got crushed game 1. The reality is game 2, I think our deck kind of just drew below average. And that can happen. So we're now 2-1. We're going to keep our head up and just try to win matches 4 and 5. If you're still watching, make sure to give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. While you're near the description, here's a reminder to use our affiliate links if you're going to make a purchase from Amazon, Card Hoarder, or TCG Player. Just above those affiliate links, you'll find our social channels. Make sure to join those to connect with us. On the play for the 4th match, let's go. No, this hand's too risky. Mulligan. I think that this is fine enough. So I do know that we're facing someone that plays a lot of blue. So I think I'm down to try this. We'll get rid of 1 Veil of Summer. And my goal here would be to force through a defense grid. Put that Veil of Summer to the graveyard. We'll play out Lotus Petal. Pass the turn. They just went straight to clean up. Okay. Discards a Ponder. We draw a Lion's Eye Diamond. Let's try defense grid. Maybe Force of Will. We'll pass. So they kept a hand on the back of Force of Will, Underground Sea. Maybe they just skipped their first turn. Force of Will, Thoughtseize. Not very kind. Okay. They take the other grid. I would like to draw a fetch land. Taigo is what I was going to get with the fetch land, so that worked out. We'll play Diamond, and we'll try Burning Wish. Force of Will, Thoughtseize, Daze. Yikes. Okay, Burning Wish has been countered. Pass. So things might look bad right now, and I get that. That said, we're... Okay, Dimir tempo. A Echo of Eons, Gamble, and Tomb away from greatness. Song of Creation. Pass the turn. They play land number 2. And now they're fetching. Their Netherglyph becomes a 3/4. Ouch. They have 3 cards in their hand. We draw Gamble. Let's try Veil of Summer. They brainstorm in response. Veil of Summer back on the stack. We draw Echo. Now I don't even have to spend the mana. So this allows me to try the 66% to hit another diamond. So we'll select Lion's Eye Diamond. And we win the flip. We'll add blue and black. So a lot of people ask me, why do I float 1 blue mana? Which is fair. So there's one big reason. We're an Entomb deck, which means that I don't necessarily have to draw into Lion's Eye Diamond to be able to Entomb Echo. The other reason, which is not nearly as big, is that we're also a Song of Creation deck. And if you draw the Song of Creation, having a blue mana floating is pretty helpful. So that is why I think it's nice to have. And now we'll Burning Wish. Yes, and we'll grab Tendrils of Agony. Target you. Force of Will, Thoughtseize, Daze. Nice. Alright, so we get game number 1 over Dimir tempo. We'll bring in Besages, board out Mox Opal and Chrome Mox. That's the plan. Alright, we're on the draw. This hand might be Dragon time. I would love to Dragon with like 4 mana floating. Like, this is a very good hand for the Runehorn Hellkite. Of course, they have the turn 1 Thoughtseize. So hopefully they take Beseech the Mirror. I would love that. Please take Beseech the Mirror. Pretty please. Take the Beseech. I believe in you. You can do it. What's Gamble going to do to you? Nothing. Yes! Yes! I just willed my opponent into it. Here comes the dragon. Okay. And now we'll fetch. Grab Badlands and Gamble. They Force of Will. Okay. Well, what about Gamble number 2? Do I get that one? So now I think I should Echo. That's my opinion here. They've already used 1 Force. If they opened up on Force of Will, Thoughtseize, Force of Will, like, you've earned it. I just think that my odds of winning with 6 mana floating are incredibly high. And this is way more likely to win than 3 mana with a dragon. And it resolves, but I drew the dragon. Oh no. So I could try to resolve dragon. I've never thought I'd hardcast it. Am I supposed to hardcast the dragon? We'll play Petal. Play Petal. Play Lotus Petal. Play Opal. Runehorn Hellkite. Let's go. This is crazy. I mean, it's technically a 4-turn clock right now, but if they fetch, it becomes a 3-turn. And now they're going to Force of Will the Runehorn Hellkite. No way. Alright, so I can go Dark Ritual. And then use the Hellkite. What a game. Alright, Runehorn Hellkite. Interesting. So I have a win here. Pro Mox. Imprint the Song. Lotus Petal. Let's try to Dark Ritual. We need this to resolve. And it did. Turn 1 win through double Force of Will. It's pretty good. Pretty good. That was exciting. Alright. Honestly, I'm not going to forget this. I hardcast the dragon, our opponent forced it, and then we wheeled into the win. How crazy is that? We're 3-1. The Gold Sabertooth times the Epic Storm collection has arrived with 3 full-size tokens showcasing the beloved Dark Ritual, CDH Rogsai, and Legacy of the Epic Storm for just $5. On the backs of these tokens, there's a place for my signature or a custom message. In addition to these sweet tokens, a friendly reminder that all orders that ship from theepicstorm.com also come with a signed Storm token from yours truly. The final round of this Legacy League, and we're facing a Doomsday Specialist, not a matchup that I really would like to face. Well, we've opened up a turn 1 with Veil backup. We'll keep this. Play Chromox. And we'll imprint the guy as well. Play Lotus Petal. Mox Opal. Lion's Eye Diamond. Veil of Summer. They force will exiling Thassa's Oracle. Okay. So I could gamble here and just sit on the dragon, and it's very tough for them to beat dragon. Oh no. Oh no. Magic Online. Like, I went to go click, and then the box popped up, and I selected Raucous Theater. That was an accident. Oh no. Like, I just went, like, it was lagging, so I went to go, like, move my mouse, and I accidentally clicked. Ah. Okay. My opponent is making a joke in the chat about it. Yeah, I don't think it's that funny right now, but okay. Yeah, that was not good. They just have the turn 1 Doomsday? Yep. Bummer. Maybe we'll get lucky and draw dragon. Can't believe I did that. I didn't mean to click. Like, I went to go move my mouse, and then at the same time the window popped up to select the card. Devastating. Alright, dragon. Nope. Unfortunate. There's only 2 Force of Wills in exile, so there's a good chance our opponent had another Force blue card in hand. But I would have preferred to go for it, that's for certain. Yep. Bummer. Okay, so we'll bring in Thoughtseize, Opal, Chrome, hit submit. Let's try that again on the play. This might be crazy, I'm going to keep it. We have the dragon in hand. I just have to win 2 gamble flips for diamonds. Our opponent takes a mulligan to 6. Bloodstained Mire will fetch. Grab the Taiga here. And gamble. Move my mouse away from where the box will pop up. Select Lion's Eye Diamond. We discarded the Hellkite, so now they know about it, which isn't ideal. We'll play Diamond. And this has now became a pretty good Force of Will target. Underground Sea. And they just pass. Thoughtseize. Let's gamble. Grab a Lion's Eye Diamond. Echo to the graveyard. I don't want to get my diamond dazed. So I'm going to pass, and then next turn I'll play the diamond. Womp. Oh, they just have the win? Ah, this is the downside. Ooh, Shield Red. Okay. We can beat that. It's just tough. So we go to 17. We'll play the diamond. Play Veil of Summer. And now we spin. Blue. Black. And I'm going to use all the blue because there's no point in echo. Like, if I echo again, I lose. So, needed Beseech or Burning Wish. I'm not going to make them click through the triggers. We did not draw the, what we needed to here. So we went 3-2. I wonder if we would have gotten forced in game 1. They only revealed 2 Force of Wills when they exiled Doomsday. Or, well, exiled their deck to Doomsday. So they could have had one in hand. They could have had both in their deck. We don't know. But realistically, they had a Force of Will in their hand. So it's a bummer. We lost to Doomsday in the 5th match. It's not a very good matchup. So we had one match where we probably should lose to Doomsday. And then we had a match where our deck just did not function versus Cradle Control. Where that one I feel like is a little more disappointing. I love the deck list. I've been sharing updates and thoughts in the Stormtrooper section of the Discord. That is the $30 tier to this channel or our Patreon, whatever, where you get play-by-plays, but also what I'm thinking in the moment, stuff like that. There is a change that I'm looking to try. I've already shared it in there. If it pans out, I'll make a video about it. But for now, I'm pretty happy with this configuration. You know, a 3-2 isn't anything special, but this list has been incredible, and I really love the Entomb Gamble package. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'm sorry that I misclicked with Gamble. I am human. But thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day. Keep storming. Hey, Bryant Cook. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. There's no better way to support our channel. If you're interested in elevating your combo game, visit theepicstorm.com/tutoring for details about our coaching sessions. Don't worry, there's more great combo content coming right up.